ready to double check our truss rod adjustment. We're going to remember we talked about our neck bow or back bow. I'll show you a quick way that you can assess your guitar for neck bow without any special tools at all. To see if the neck is straight, you could use a straight edge, like a big, very precision metal straight edge, and lay it across the fretboard and see if everything looks straight as you view it from the side. It's one way you could do it. But every guitar has a built-in straight edge. As you pull these metal strings to tension, they become pulled very tight and very straight. So what I'd like everyone to do is look at the back of their guitar. This area is called the heel. The truss rod can only adjust the thinnest parts of the neck. It's going to be generally from like around here, like near the nut. And then as the neck gets real thick right near the heel up here, on this guitar that's about the 12th fret. Some acoustic guitars it might be the 13th or so. This particular one, it's going to be about the 12th fret. That's the only area that the truss rod's really going to have much effect on. So we want to see if our truss rod is adjusted right by looking at the area it can actually affect. So to do this, I'm going to take a finger, a thumb, whatever I got. I'm going to push down. This is the 1st fret. I'm going to push that down like we're just trying to sound that note. On this guitar, now on this one, this acoustic here, for me, it's the 12th fret. On an electric guitar, it might be a different spot. Let's see if we can sneak this guitar in. Nope. Okay, this electric guitar starts getting thicker about here, which on this guitar is the 14th fret. So look at your guitar, find where it gets thick on the back of the neck near the heel. That will be the spot where you put your other hand. So on here I'm going to my 12th fret. And now, this is a big reach, I'm using my pinky. I don't know if you can hear that, but this makes a little click as the string comes down and hits. What we're looking for is between these 2 points, 1st fret and then wherever our neck gets thick, if we push those 2 points down to the fret with the string, now the string is pulled very straight and we can use it as a straight edge. We can take our piece of cardstock or piece of paper, and now I've got a pinky here, got index finger here, and in this about middle point, we'll go to a fret. If there's a large gap between the fret and the bottom of the string here, that means that your neck is bowed. You've got a gap here, so the neck is sort of dished out. If you have no gap at all, then your neck could be back bowed. The way to sort of check for that is as you slowly start pushing down both these points, if the string hits a fret in the center before you're pushed down at both these points, then your neck is going this direction. You've got like a speed bump sort of in the middle. This is like a big hill, and your crest is hitting here, so your string is hitting in the center before it hits these points. That's a back bow. That means your truss rod will need to be loosened. If you have just the slightest amount of gap, like if your card just barely fits in there, or if everything seems just about perfectly straight, you're probably in a good spot, and you probably don't need any adjustments. Just to double check, you'll flip your guitar around. That was the low E string we were checking. And we'll check it on the high E side and check for those same gaps. If you see a big difference between the high E and the low E side of the neck, you might have a twisted neck. You might need some serious assistance from a luthier or technician. So we've checked to see if we've got bow or back bow. Let's say for the first example that we found a large gap on both sides of the neck in the center. That means that our truss rod needs to be tightened because we have a bow in the neck. As you face your adjustment nut, whether it's inside the guitar or it's up at this opposite end, it's your basic righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I mentioned that we'll cover the specifics of these tools here. If you put your tool on and it feels loose, this one's a little loose on here. There's some wear on this particular guitar from being old and this being adjusted a lot. If it feels loose and it doesn't fit in tightly, or if you can't get it inserted all the way, pause there and just try to make sure you can get a good tight fit. Maybe get a different tool. Maybe double check with a flashlight and make sure that the nut isn't damaged. If you go with a cheap tool and try to make an adjustment and you end up stripping out the nut, that can be very difficult to deal with and will probably require professional help. If everything feels good, go for it. Go and make your adjustments. So if you're going to adjust your truss rod, do not go more than a quarter turn at a time if you've never adjusted one of these before. The truss rods, they can snap. If you go, I've seen people adjust a truss rod a half turn and then a big snap happens and then their neck goes totally limp and bows really badly. If the truss rod breaks, it can be the end of that guitar as far as, almost anything can be fixed. But this guitar here, this is probably a $200 guitar on a good day. Replacing a truss rod, much more expensive than replacing the guitar. So we don't want to break it. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And again, I don't know if my camera's showing backwards, so it may be confusing, but quarter turn at a time is all you'll want to do. Give it a quarter turn tighten. Go back to checking your adjustment. Do a little tap test. Stick a piece of cardstock in there. If you still have a big gap, just go another quarter turn and try it again. If you find yourself having to go more than 3/4 of a turn, I suggest let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. See if that adjustment takes. It might take a while for the truss rod to do its job. If you had a back bow, as you might guess, you go lefty-loosey at the truss rod nut. Insert your tool and just turn it 1/4 turn to the left. It's safer to do big adjustments to the left as opposed to the right. It's easier to snap a truss rod by tightening it. But you don't want to go too crazy with it because you don't want to over loosen it and then have to go back and readjust. And you'll just do a quarter turn at a time on your truss rod until your adjustments look good when you do your test as I showed you.